In our first story, a total of 16 persons are so far being held by the Ghana Police Service for their alleged involvement in the lynching of Captain Maxwell Maah. The 16 were picked up in various parts of the country following the murder of the young military officer last Monday, who residents say was mistaken for an armed robber. There's been widespread condemnation of the incident, and already 7 of the suspects are on remand after they were put before court Thursday. A joint police and military team has been updating the media Friday on measures taken so far to ensure all the perpetrators are brought to book. My colleague Favor Nonu was there. He joins me in the studio now. Hi, Favor.
Hi, Ira.
So it appears that there are more numbers. A lot more people have been arrested, but they were arrested at various locations. So
Indeed.
Break it down for us.
Okay, so what we know is that on the very first day that the police and the military contingent actually stormed the Dintro-Boase area, what happened was they picked up 50 persons who were rounded up for screening. And after this screening, 5 of them were actually arrested, and they were linked to the crime on the day. And so these were 5. The next day, we understand that 2 more persons turned themselves in, and these are the DCE, the assemblyman, who is Mr. Ban, and then another unit committee member who we're told was actually the one having the weapon of the military officer who was linked. So that makes it 7. And beyond that, we know also that the police picked up an extra 2 persons. These 2 persons were on the run from, they were in the Bronga-Afo region, and the areas Techiman and then Asankregwa. So that brings the total number to 9 now. And we know that today 7 more people have been arrested. Yeah. So that raises up the number to the 16 that is currently being reported. All
right, so 16 people are being held in custody and others have been put in remand.
Indeed.
What are the details?
What we know is that out of these 16, there are 7 of them who have been placed on remand, and 9 of them are being processed. By Monday, we know they'll be processed for court. That's what we are told by the Ghana Police Service.
So far include the arrest of 16 suspects, 7 out of whom have been remanded by the court to police custody, and the rest to be presented in court on Monday, 5th June 2017, together with any other suspects that may be arrested in the course of the weekend. The 7 who have been remanded are William Ba, the assemblyman, Bismarck Donko, Philip Bedu, Kofi Nyame, Anthony Amoa, Kofi Bedu, and Yao Ano. The other arrested persons are as stated below. Some were attempting to escape arrest to other places and were intercepted, while others were arrested from other places across the country, including as far as Sunyai. They are Dolly Komla, Dome Francis, Sonu Mwanyo, Sonu Emmanuel, Ernest Ali, Kojo Mfum, Kwesi Boa, Issa Menu, and Prince Amponsa. We have collected a number of evidence which have either been processed or are being processed according to due process. Our investigations are focused on identifying all persons whose actions caused the death of the deceased.
Okay, so that was CID boss Bright Odro there. Okay. Well, the police has also been addressing the issue of the dead body that was found on the outskirts of Dintro-Boase.
Yes.
What have they been saying with regards
to
that?
They wouldn't speak directly or establish a correlation between this dead body that was found on the outskirts of the village and the lynching of the late captain. Okay. What they say, though, is that this is also a murder case, which is of interest to them because it's a crime, and therefore they were going to start investigations into the matter.
I have found a body with stab wound, and the gentleman met his death 2 days ago, Wednesday night, in some part of the bush on the Diaso Denchira Oboasi Road. And he had a very big stab wound at the lower part of the neck, precisely near the collarbone. And the body has been picked and sent to Dunkwa Ofe Mortuary. That is a murder case which we are also looking into.
All right, Favor, let's talk about the military, because they were also represented at today's briefing. I mean, there have been suggestions that the police does not have the capacity to do a good job on this particular investigation, and even suggestions that the military could do a better job, and so they should take it up. What's been the police's response to this?
Well, the police raises a very strong argument for themselves. The IGP explained that all over the world, there are very many cases, criminal cases that have gone unsolved. And it is not only limited to the Ghana police, and that with the appropriate evidence and work, they're able to do the right thing and prosecute. And so the general public, including the military itself, should not make claims that the Ghana police, or say that the Ghana police cannot deliver, but they have the capacity to be able to investigate the matter and bring those offenders under the law and make sure they're prosecuted. We can have a listen to that.
This is the mandate of the Ghana Police Service. And we have been in existence from time immemorial. It has been our work, and we have maintained the law and order in this country up to this time. Let me mention that if you have an unsolved crime, it does not mean that the police did not do their work. You must know that in investigations, you follow every lead to its logical conclusion. In the process, you get to arrest the perpetrator. Or sometimes the perpetrator may even die before the end of the investigation. It does not mean that it is not a good investigation. So if somebody says they do not have confidence in the Ghana Police Service for any unsolved crime, that is not correct. You can go to other countries, advanced countries, they have many unsolved crimes. But that is not to say they are unable to investigate cases and bring perpetrators to book. We have done it. We have attested to that. And I hope that if you want records, you can consult to find out the truth.
So that was the IGP, David Asante Apietu there. Now, there have been allegations that Captain Maxwell Maah was part of a team that was protecting an illegal mining concession. The military has been setting the record straight on that. What did they say? Yes,
they came straight and addressed the issue, and it was straightforward. They maintained that Captain Maah was on official duty. He was actually the commander of a military detachment that was deployed in the area, not exactly at Denkyroboase, but in the town that's some kilometers away from it. Right. And they expected that, community people and the assemblymen, etc., would know about it, but it was in a different area. And so those who claimed from Denkyroboase that he was actually protecting an illegal mine do not know what they're talking about.
The question of whether he was on an unauthorized operation. I've answered this question before. I was at the Army headquarters when this operation started. And the 2nd Battalion of Infantry was tasked to undertake it. The officer is from 5 Battalion. And the reason why he was in that area of operation is because he had been detailed to relieve somebody else who had to write promotion exams. That is why he was there. So he was carrying on a task that had been assigned to the unit, and therefore High Command was aware. It was not an illegal operation.
Now, the Deputy Central Regional Minister has taken over administration of the Upper Denkyira West District Assembly following the suspension of the District Chief Executive. President Akufo-Addo on Thursday said he had taken the decision to suspend Daniel Epiening after he made remarks about the brutal murder of Captain Maxwell Maah, which have been described as insensitive. The Deputy Central Regional Minister, Thomas Ejay-Bafo, has been speaking to Insure FM's Ohim Interior.
At least I'll spend 2 days in a week here. It interests you to know that I'm also a Dinchra boy, so I'm also familiar with the terrain here. I'm not a stranger here at all.
I know you are not a stranger at all, and that is why I want to find out from you how, consistent you'll be here.
I'll be here. At least, like I said, at least 2 days I'll be here.
Are you satisfied with the kind of the speed at which police has attached to this whole story? Investigations, people are being arrested, from all over the country, Central Region, Western, Ashanti, and Bruno Ahafo region.
I believe you're also satisfied. Once you are satisfied, I'm also satisfied.
I hope he handed over to you an idea where the district had wanted to set up a task force to deal with galamsey operations in the district. Should we expect a committee of that nature, a task force of that nature, moving into action in the district?
You just handed over to me. I'm going through the handover notes, and definitely you'll hear from us.
Let's stay in the Upper Denshire West District because assembly members there are pleading for forgiveness for residents of the area for their involvement in the lynching of Captain Mahama. At a news conference attended by 19 out of the 23 assembly members, the members condemned the lynching, conceding they have sinned against Ghanaians. They assured the residents they have learned their lessons and that the act won't be repeated.
We want to send our condolences to the bereaved family, especially the children and the mother and the wife, and even especially to the military command at the head office, especially police. What has happened, we are not even happy at a single day or in a minute. And as we told the whole world, we are preparing and we have decided to help whatever involved in that act will be fished out. The whole Denchira, we are very sad about the issue which has happened. We are not very happy at all. Not a single day, even a single person is happy about what has happened. But we know in every situation or in every community, we had bad people in our mix. That's why this thing has happened. But all what we are saying is that we are not happy and we are not even, will not be forgiving those who are involved. And we are ready to help the government to fish each and every one who is involved in that act out. Ebium and say Denchira Traditional Council yeni abre pa to the extent say what has happened, we are not happy at all. And what the government have said, we have accepted it in good faith. But what we are praying is that the government should do thorough investigation. We are appealing to Nana to come down to the place where the incident happened, and especially what he heard about our DC. He should come to the place and do very authoritative investigation so that they will know what is going on over here.
Well, still in that area, final year students say they are uncertain of their participation in the upcoming BCE exams. Although many of them registered for the exams, their teachers are said to have fled the community following the lynching of the captain. Education authorities want the situation addressed as schools in the area are still closed. Some candidates who have been spending their lives in the bushes for fear of being brutalized by the military say they are not mentally and psychologically prepared for the exams. They've been speaking to my colleague Ohimi Teria.
It's been day 4 since the military officers stormed Denchira Obuasi, the central regional town in the Upper Denchira West District. It follows the murder of the dead captain, Mahama. Afterwards, things have not been the same for residents of Denchira Obuasi. the community remains deserted. And one unfortunate incident is that schools in this community remained closed. This means students who are supposed to be in school at this time are still home. Enti what has abri now here and sana oba hai.
Na me school.
Now school mu. And no school.
Pacha Debbie.
Now school mu say. He fan wan kasa no ma me no papa, he fan amoda.
Pacha ya kwangwandanim ne kwada.
All right. So what this gentleman is telling me is that aftermath of the lynching of Captain Maah, schools in this community have been closed down. And as a people, he's also affected.
Na sisia ensemoya esisi amama disunya ntimi enkoso mehwe menua ma omodwane ya se mefa buku sisia mba bisunya de ya na madwene wo mo ho menya freedom a metimi de asua de menya anika mehu wo ma adesua mesua ebekɔ mitrim sisia buku ekura mi ubusam de wo ma minim amama dwene nyina ya hyehye bisi a mebetwere esanso de pressure aba beto me so mehu ne meye eya me se minwane enam bisi a mekɔ 20 ema me kwa ma minwane edura nwumela na yakwa akoda kokɔ ase adechia ne aba mintimi nsua de ade bia mesua bia enko mitrim ama ayam hyehye eda me so.
So what this gentleman is saying is that he is a candidate for the upcoming BEC exams, but because of the situation in this community, he's unable to concentrate. He's traumatized. Now, even when he picks his books to study, events of what has happened and transpired in this community continue to play back in his mind, and this is what drives him away from concentrating on his studies. And he also tells me he and his family have been sleeping in the bush. So after each day, after each night, they spend time in the bush with no sign of when life will return to normalcy in Densha Obwase.
You're watching Joy News Prime, and stay with us because we still have more angles to the story for you. Coming up after the break, the family of the slain soldier is asking government to construct a monument in his honor. And Chinese Galamsey kingpin Aisha Wong finally granted bail along with 4 of her accomplices. Details coming up. You're welcome back. Now, after weeks of being held in prison custody, an Accra High Court on Friday granted bail to N. Huang, the Chinese woman accused of deep involvement in illegal small-scale mining. Aisha Wong, as she's popularly known, and 4 other Chinese nationals were arrested by the Ghana Immigration Service in Kumasi and brought to Accra for prosecution. Presiding Judge Justice Charles Baden said the prosecution had failed to demonstrate how the accused persons will interfere with investigations if granted bail. Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Aisha Wong, who had a previous hearing reacted angrily to the decision by the court to adjourn, was of a different disposition today. She sat calmly in the courtroom, not looking at the judge as he read out his ruling. At delivering the ruling, Justice Eko Baden granted the bail, saying prosecution had failed to show how she will interfere with investigations if the said application was granted. He pointed out it was not enough to simply claim that someone will interfere with investigation. He said he had expected that prosecution would demonstrate to the court which aspects of investigations were outstanding, for which reason they wanted her to be kept in custody. As expected, her reaction to this decision was different, as this time around she was excited, gave thumbs up to those who accompanied her to the courtroom. The conditions of the bail, however, requires her to report to the Inspector General of Police and the Director of the Ghana Immigration Service twice a week. Additionally, she's supposed to tender in her passport as well as that of the 4 others to the Ghana Immigration Service. They are also to provide 2 sureties for Aisha Wong, with the 4 others requiring 1 surety who is expected to be Ghanaian in all their cases. That person is also supposed to have identifiable residence, which will be verified by officers of the Ghana Police Service and Ghana Immigration Service respectively. Hearing continues on June 16, where they are pleased to be taken by the court. Reporting for Joy News, Joseph Akable, Law Court Complex.
And speaking of bail, police in the Eastern region have granted bail to 3 Chinese nationals who were arrested at Achim Sejimase near Chebi for engaging in illegal mining. The 3 were operating near their farmland, the farmland of NDC National Chairman Kofi Portafi, and were arrested by a team from the Ghana Police Service and the Mines and Agriculture Committee of the East Achim Municipal Assembly. Let's get the latest on this from Adum FM's Maxwell Kudoko, who joins us on the line. Good evening to you, Maxwell. So why did the police decide to grant bail to these suspects?
Good evening, Araba. According to the East Achim Divisional Crime Officer, CSP Emmanuel Isaka, the 3 Chinese nationals were granted bail on their own claim that they were not engaging in illegal mining, but they were providing services for Narawa Mining Company. That is a large-scale mining company that have a concession that stretches from Fantiakwa through to the East Achim and the Etiwa district. According to their own claim, the claims of these 3 Chinese, they work for one equipment or logistic company in the Ashanti region, and they were hired to provide services for the Narawa company in East Achim. So they claim that they are not illegal miners, but rather they were providing services for Narawa company. The crime officer indicated that the Chinese were provided. There were 3 in numbers. One was a plant mounter, the other one was electrical welder, and the last person is also an engineer. So that is their claim. But interestingly, the police couldn't have or hire the services of a Chinese interpreter to interrogate these 3 Chinese nationals. They had to resort to an interpreter that was provided for them by the same company whom these Chinese nationals were working for. So they have been granted bail on their own claim that they were not engaged in illegal mining, but rather they were providing services. The police are yet to ascertain whether or not they have the needed document permitting them to live or stay and work in Ghana. But for now, they have been granted bail pending further investigation from the police.
And Maxwell, you indicated that these Chinese nationals were providing some services to a company that was engaged in illegal mining. Does that end the process, or is the police going to investigate this company in question?
Precisely what I asked from the public relations officer for the Ghana Police Service in the Eastern region, ASP Ebenezer Tete. He tells me that they were granted bail based on their plea, but there are other issues related to the arrest and their activities that are yet to be investigated, especially whether or not indeed they have documents to prove that they were providing services for the Narawa Mining Company, whether or not the area or the jurisdiction where they were arrested falls within the concession of the Narawa Mining Company. So there are other issues, according to the police, they would investigate in the coming days. But for now, they have left them to go home pending further investigation.
All right, many thanks. And that's Adum FM's Eastern Regional Correspondent, Maxwell Kudoko there. We're taking another break. Still to come, we have business, but also the outgoing High Commissioner, British High Commissioner John Benjamin has been speaking, and he's unhappy about the jail terms handed to government officials who are being prosecuted.
Not a single person of any high standing has gone to jail for corruption in Ghana for more than a decade. I know many Ghanaians who say, at least privately to us, that it is high time that changed.
We'll bring you details when we return. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. It's time for business, and Emmanuel Abuaje-Yafe joins me in the studio. What's this? I hear about some disagreement in the petroleum sector.
Yes, the downstream players, some downstream stakeholders are disagreeing over figures of pricing, fuel pricing, while the Institute of Energy Security is saying that there's going to be a 4% increment in prices for the first price window. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers are saying no. The current indices do not warrant any such increase.
It should be interesting to hear. All right, give us the details.
Thank you very much, and thanks for joining me on Business. The Institute for Energy Security, IES, says it foresees an impending 4% increment in the fuel prices at the pumps for the first pricing window of the month of June. IES cites the cedi depreciation and a rebound in world oil market prices as a basis for their projection. According to the research group, this is likely to erode the gains made by consumers over the past 4 weeks at the pumps. However, this, they say, would count as a relief for both bulk oil distributors, BDCs, and oil marketing companies, OMCs. Principal Research Officer of the IES is Richmond Roxon.
This time around, we're expecting prices to go up by about 4%. When you look at the indicators, you look at crude oil prices on the world market. In the last window, the average was about $50 per barrel. But as we speak, the average now is $53 per barrel. The prices are rising marginally because OPEC once again has decided to cut production up to June 2018. When you also look at the benchmark for gasoline and gas oil on the international markets, normally we look at Platts because Platts is from Europe. The price has gone up from $510 per metric ton to $544 per metric ton for gasoline. For gas oil, it's also gone up from $432.60 per metric ton to about $458, representing about 6% change. Within the same period, the cedi depreciated as compared to the other window by about 1.18%. The cedi was trading around 4 cedis, $22. As we speak, around 4 cedis, $27 per average. For our inventory, the stock level we have is okay. It can take us by for 4 weeks of national demand. So putting this together, that's how come we are projecting that we're expecting fuel prices to go up by about 4%.
But the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers says it disagrees with the analysis put out by the IES. Speaking on Business Live this evening, Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, said the current indices do not warrant any fuel price increments for now.
Presently, you wake up to hear someone predicting about 3 to 4% increase in fuel prices. I can state categorically that no one is increasing fuel prices in Ghana as we speak, and that is not likely to even happen in the next couple of days.
Well, their projection, as we understand, is based on the determinants, the city's performance and the performance of the world oil market prices, really. So isn't there justification then for the kind of argument that they raise?
It will be far-fetched. Let me repeat. The indexes do not even support an increase at this time. Just between yesterday and today, gasoline has gone down by some 2.66%. Just yesterday and today. So anybody talking about an increase is probably getting the whole dynamics wrong. The city indeed might have lost some value, but like I indicated, our earlier discussions with a lot of the OMCs pointed to the fact that they could maintain prices for the last window and do same for this window. And what we know from the market, there wouldn't be any justification whatsoever for anyone increasing fuel prices at this time. And this is why we insist that anyone seeking to push for fuel price increases would have to be careful, because operators, as we have spoken to this afternoon, are not increasing fuel prices. So you wonder where this sort of analysis is actually coming from. We need to be a little more careful in order not to incite people or players who may naturally not have increasing to just go ahead and do so, because it looks that is what the market or the system is expecting from them. Indeed, there is no basis for any increases in fuel prices as far as the first window the month of June is concerned. It didn't go down the previous window. It wouldn't go up this window. That I can say with a lot of certainty.
And that was the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amwa. Away from petroleum, the Ghana Chamber of Mines is to launch an online portal for local content procurement program. The aim is to increase local participation in the procurement process for mining companies in the country. It is part of initiatives by the Chamber to integrate mining activities into the local economy. This was made known by the President of the Chamber, Kwame Adokufo, in Accra.
Would also wish to use this opportunity to urge government to invite businesses and investors through its one district, one factory policy to explore the opportunities in the mining sector. Honorable Minister, I am hereby announcing that the Ghana Chamber of Mines has initiated a process to launch an online portal on local content to provide in-depth information on mining inputs required by our members, and which we are inviting local manufacturers and suppliers to bid for. This portal, which will be launched this year, will support potential investors and local entrepreneurs who can provide these inputs with up-to-date specific information and further enhance the implementation of the local content regulations.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, has also urged the Chamber to go beyond normal procurement of materials to industrial participation so that the citizens will feel part of the mining process.
According to the Minister, local content has become crucial more than ever as an effective way to combat the ongoing war against illegal mining to the benefit of stakeholders and the economy at large. The big mining firms have always lamented the negative impact of the galamsey on their operations and have hailed government's approach in combating the menace, including the 6-month ban on small-scale mining. John Peter Amewu, however, says the firms represented by the Chamber of Mines have a critical role to play as the war is far from over.
For me, we have not achieved any success at all in the drive for this illegal activity. The challenge is quite huge. If you travel out really and see what is happening to this country, you will weep for yourself. But the Chamber has a long way to go to help us address this. What are we doing to our local content drive? If you really want to go forward and make sure that the illegality is resolved in this country, for the mining companies to benefit, for the owners of resources to benefit, we must open up our arms to see how we help them. In South Africa, Diggers and Dealers Association, those associations did not emerge out of their own. They came out as a result of collaborative effort by the citizens and the miners themselves, that together and collectively we must resolve to address certain difficulties that the problem is encountering for which the citizens are not benefiting. Now, Chamber of Mines, you have a long way, and you need to help this country.
Mr. Amewu added that government is committed to creating the enabling environment for efficient operations of mining companies.
As a government, we are open up to private sector. We don't want to stop mining. We are a government that believes in private sector orientations and believe that private sector must open up the gate for involvement in terms of participation. But we cannot do that when your contributions are not well felt and the direction you want us to go are not clearly defined. And
that's all in business for now. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a great weekend.
And you're welcome back. Outgoing UK High Commissioner to Ghana, John Benjamin, has sharply criticized what he describes as the greedy, wanton corruption in government and across the political divide. The outspoken diplomat at a farewell party which coincided with the Queen's birthday party did not hold any punches. He cited a number of instances, including the Central Medical Stores fire, where culprits have not been punished because of deep-seated corruption in government circles. He later told Joy News in an interview the lack of jail terms for corrupt government appointees contributes to the high levels of corruption in the country.
I'll miss the kind of the spirit and the energy and the hospitality and the humor, all very positive qualities that so many millions of Ghanaians have, even though life can be very, very tough for a lot of people. But that kind of welcoming, positive spirit is very uplifting, and I'll miss that.
You mentioned corruption in your speech, and the fact that it has affected the economic growth of the country. In your own, assessments, how major a setback has corruption been to the development of Ghana?
Well, unfortunately, I think it's been a very big setback. It doesn't mean it's as bad as elsewhere. Elsewhere is worse. However, this is Ghana, and Ghana should measure things by its own standards. And I think that a lot of money has been lost to corruption that was supposed to go to build schools and roads and hospitals. And therefore, by definition, if a school doesn't get built that should have been built, that was budgeted for, or a hospital or a health center, then all the people who would have used that facility are losing out. It's not that complicated. People turn corruption into a very complicated science, but it's really very simple. It's about the theft of resources that are meant to be used for all the people.
You mentioned insecurity. We have about 3 days ago, the lynching of Captain Maxwell Maah. What do you make of the seeming insecurity in the country?
Well, I think it's important to remember that on the whole, Ghana is an exceptionally safe country. In fact, what happened to Captain Maah, may he rest in peace, and our condolences to his family, everybody knows about it in Ghana because it's quite a rare thing. There are other countries where this happens so often, almost daily, that it wouldn't have attracted that much attention. So in a way, ironically, it shows that this sort of thing, tragic, horrible killing of Captain Maah, is still very, very, very exceptional.
Have you seen the video?
I've heard about it. I don't want to see it. And I think it's a great shame for people to circulate it because it just adds to the distress of his family. There's no need to show it.
What would you miss most about Ghana?
Oh, like I said, I'll just miss the spirit.
There should be one thing.
Oh, the banter about football on social media, just having the contact. It's been very important to me to have contact with quote-unquote ordinary Ghanaians, because ambassadors can be very elite.
You have changed the face of diplomacy in Ghana. Is that the way you would want your successor to go?
Well, he's got to find his own way, and he's a wonderful guy, but I think it's the face of diplomacy has to change everywhere.
Well, some high-profile personalities present at the event shared experiences about the outgoing commissioner on what he says changes the face of diplomacy in Ghana.
Being with us as a family was more of a relaxed situation, so I cannot judge him as a high commissioner.
Will you miss him?
I wasn't seeing him much, but I think that in as much as he was a relaxed high commissioner and made people feel at ease in his presence, we hope that the next one who's coming will be just as easygoing. Otherwise, yes, then I'll miss him. But if the next one is also easygoing, he will take his place.
John's style of diplomacy, you think is the way to go?
Oh, but I think that is the best way to go now.
Would you emulate that once you get to the UK?
It depends. I mean, each one and their style. All right, each one and their style. But you see, we are in a digital age. So you are a diplomat, you need to reach out to as many people as you can. All right, particularly for John, he faced a peculiar challenge in Ghana because, you know, I mean, the way we think about the UK and the visa system, etc., etc. So it was important, I guess, for him to reach out through technology to the ordinary man on the street.
In his speech, he also mentioned that we should do what we can to disband all vigilante groups. Would your party do what it takes to disband that vigilante?
I don't know the Delta group to be a group with membership cards or non-membership. I mean, it's an amorphous group. So you talk about disbanding, it becomes difficult.
I think he's a great guy, and I personally admire him and hold him in very high esteem.
A section of the Ghanaian public criticized him for his bluntness to issues when it comes to issues in the public domain. He would tweet, and it attracted some criticism. What do you make of that?
No, I think we need...
Some describe it as being undiplomatic.
We are in a society where there is no truth anymore. We try to put everything in a political context. And so if whatever he says is not good for us, even if it is true, we condemn it. That has been the tradition in our country. I think we should learn from someone like him. If we have more people speaking like him, this country should be a better place.
And he certainly changed the face of diplomacy in Ghana. Well, moving on, the family of slain soldier Captain Maxwell Maah is asking government to construct a monument in his honor. They say this will serve as a reminder to Ghanaians not to lynch suspects. The family made the appeal when the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, visited the House earlier Friday. Joseph Opoku-Gapo was there for Joy News.
Professor Michael Quay, in the company of Majority Leader Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, and other leaders of Parliament, paid a courtesy call on the family at Burma Camp in Accra. A family spokesperson expressed gratitude to Ghanaians for the mass outpouring of love since the tragic death of Captain Maah.
The family is happy so far what is going on. And tomorrow we'll be having a family meeting. From there, we'll know when we'll give our son a befitting burial. I think for now, that's what the family have. But, Right Honorable Speaker, we have one more concern. And the concern is that one is appeal. After the burial, the family wants a monument to be built anywhere in Ghana on his behalf, so that in future, this crime of this sort, we'll use that thing to remember that we in our lifetime, we don't want to ever expect anything of this sort.
Professor Michael Quay described the death as unfortunate, saying all Ghanaians must commit to preventing any such attack in the future.
We have heard of this good request for a monument for this young man. Parliament, the leaders here, we are listening with very good ears. And we trust that it will even go beyond that. And the children in particular who have been left behind, with the support of government, we expect that something will be done to take care of them. Amen. May this never happen again. Amen. He died in the course of duty, most unfortunately, and even most unfortunately in a very dastardly manner. All we can do now is to show him our respect and our commitment to the cause for which he gave up his life.
Also present at the home was General Overseer of the Lighthouse Chapel International, Bishop Doug Heward Mills. He prayed for the peace of family members in these hard times.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. Still ahead in the bulletin, minority in Parliament threatens to cite statutory funds administrators for contempt for spending without parliamentary approval. And chiefs and people of Sumbrungu in the Upper East region lament what they believe is an attempt by the Akufo-Addo-led administration to deprive them of an airport the previous administration began. Details when we return. Now, the minority in Parliament is threatening to cite administrators of various statutory funds for contempt for spending resources without parliamentary approval. These are administrators of the Common Fund, the Get Fund and NHIS Fund. Parliament is yet to approve the formula for the distribution of the sums, several months after the budget was approved. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu told the House Friday government must speedily rectify the anomaly, which the majority leader assured will be done soon.
Mr. Speaker, ask for health insurance and get fund. No excuse. Why should the language will be efforts? What effort? Mr. Speaker, their respective legislations provide that 1 month after the Appropriation Act and the budget have been approved, they must appear before this House. They are running and they are spending money, administrative costs. They don't have the authority of this House to do that. That is in breach. If they are not coming, Mr. Speaker, they would have to give us reason why we should not cite them for contempt of Parliament, the administrator of these respective funds. Why? Their laws provide that they must have Parliament approve what they do. They are spending. We know they are functioning. They must function with the guidance and approval of this House.
Speaker, the reason why we said so was that at the time, we had not taken possession of the formula, and we're still knocking on doors to have them presented to us. As I speak now, we have the one for the get funds. The health insurance person has traveled, we were told, and we need to get it. Whatever it takes, next week we should handle it. The other one, with respect to the District Assembly's Common Fund, I guess leadership can brainstorm on that as to what to do.
Now, Member of Parliament's Finance Committee Benjamin Podo says the problem is particularly serious with the District Assembly Common Fund, as this is making it impossible for the assemblies to function properly.
The Constitution provides that when the District Assembly Common Fund is given some money in the budget, it must come to Parliament and lay before the House how that money will be appropriated in the year. This Assembly's Common Fund is applied in various forms. Some allocation goes direct to the assemblies, some go to the school feeding program, and some go to other areas. But this must be stated clearly in a formula to be laid before Parliament. Once the appropriation has been, of the main budget has been done, it is the duty of the Common Fund administrator to lay before Parliament the formula for the distribution. That's the constitutional provision. But if you recall, we approved the 2017 budget and the Appropriation Act, subsequently passed by March, by the end of March, before we went on the break. 2 months since then, we have not got the formula for applying the fund that has been approved in the budget. That is our concern. The effect is that legally, the common fund cannot be disbursed. It cannot be disbursed. Whatever has accumulated since January to date cannot be disbursed until Parliament approves the formula for distributing.
But do we know if it's being disbursed, despite the formula not being approved?
We know that 2017 disbursements have not been made to any of the assemblies. So we think that the assemblies are being stifled. They cannot work because they have done budgets. Budgets have been approved at the various municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies, but they are on paper for 2017. If they spend anything now, it could be money from the 2016 last quarter. But for 2017, nothing has been disbursed because approval has not been granted for the disbursement.
What would you expect government to do in the light of these concerns?
We want government to hurry up. The president told us that he's in a hurry to do things. So they should hurry up and get the formula laid before Parliament for approval.
Now, the chiefs and people of the Sumburungu community at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region are upset over what they say are attempts by the Akufo-Addo administration to relocate an airport earmarked for the area. According to them, there are indications the new administration intends to move the regional airport project to another locality, despite the extensive work done on feasibility studies at Sumbrugu. They, however, say the move will be resisted. Upper East correspondent Albert Sori reports.
The agitation by the Sumbrugu citizens started after Aviation Minister Cecilia Dapa recently visited the Upper East region and inspected a site said to be earmarked for the construction of an airport at Shirigu, instead of this site at Sumbrugu, which was already prepared for the same purpose under the NDC government. The Sumbrugu citizens say they suspect some elements within the current government intend to deny them the development that would come with the siting of the airport there.
We want to express our concern to the sector minister, governments, and more particularly, I repeat, more particularly, the regional minister, Honorable Roxanne Ayen Bukari, on his actions by deliberately refusing to visit the airport site that is under construction. We are fully aware that regional minister is devising ways and means to divert the attention of the sector minister to move the airport project from the old site where a significant amount of government resources have been invested on the project.
They say a significant amount of government resources has already been committed to the project at Sumbrugu and can therefore not understand why a government that believes in continuity would want to start a fresh project elsewhere. Community members showed Joy News the site at Sumbrugu and a structure they say is meant for the installation of a radar for the new airport. They claim that the structure was abandoned for lack of funds. The Sumbrugu citizens also said a lot of economic trees, including shade trees, were cut down to pave way for the construction of the airport. They therefore appealed to the aviation minister to ensure that the project is continued at Sumbrugu to fulfill the promise President Nana Akufo-Addo made to the chiefs and people of the community during the 2016 electioneering campaign.
We want to remind the minister that when the then candidate Nana Akufo-Addo, now the president-elect of the Republic of Ghana, visited the chiefs and people of Sumbrugu with his vice president. Read what you see. His promise to continue with the airport project. When Nanado visited the chiefs and people of Sumbrugu, he made a promise with his vice president to continue the project in Sumbrugu. We therefore insist that the airport project should be continued in Sumbrugu. Sure. Failure to continue with the project, we will use all legitimate means. And I repeat this, we will use all legitimate means to make sure that the project continues.
For Joy News, Albert Sori, reporting from Bolgatanga.
Let's go to the Upper West region now, where chiefs from the Nadoli Kalio Traditional Council have been tasked to enact bylaws to address the perennial bushfires and indiscriminate logging of trees in the district. They are expected to submit them to the district assembly for implementation. Every year, the district is ravaged by bushfires and illegal felling of trees, which traditional authorities say is a threat to the food and nutritional security of the area. Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
Burning of the bush in some parts of the Upper West region during the Harmattan season has now become part of the subculture of the people. Only Goziru community in the Nondom district can boast of a record of close to 30 years that has not burned their bush after the farming season. However, the Noduli Kelio district is the worst culprit, as every inch of blade of grass and trees are bent into ashes. Deeply concerned about the threat of these perennial bushfires to the food and nutritional security of the area, who just exhibits the negative impact of climate change and expose the environment to higher risks and vulnerabilities, chiefs from the Nadulu Kelio Traditional Council over the past 8 months have been holding a series of meetings to find a remedy to the canker. They resolve and task all divisional chiefs to organize community debates across the traditional areas to find out and document the cause and effect of bush burning and indiscriminate felling of trees, as well as barriers to combating bushfires and other environmental hazards in their areas. The community-level findings and learning culminated in anti-bushfire campaign workshop organized by the chiefs in partnership with CARE International and the Nodulu-Keleo District Assembly. The Traditional Council, in a 14-point communique, made recommendations to nip the practice in the bud. Janna Alasan Kanchihe speaks for the chiefs.
All paramount and divisional chiefs should come out with bylaws and submit copies of the bylaws to District Assembly for support in implementation. Biological control methods such as planting of moderate thorns to prevent ward of snakes. Only dry wood is permitted to be used for charcoal, and households should be encouraged to support to plant wood logs for household and commercial charcoal production purposes. Vehicles carrying wood harvested from the forest or bush be arrested.
District Chief Executive for Nodulu-Keleo, Catherine Lankono, pledged the support of the government to working with the chiefs to ensure that the program becomes a success.
And I want to say categorically that the government of the New Patriotic Party will do everything possible to make available the usage of LPG gas so that every household will have access to it, access in terms of affordability and availability.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Nadoli.
Right. And I'm Araba Kumson. From me and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us. Have a lovely weekend.
This is Joy News Prime.